An important concept to understand when you're working with probabilities is the concept of a sample space. So a sample space is just a way of showing all possible outcomes. So let's look at an example. Let's say that we're going to roll a dice and then flip a coin. What are all possible outcomes that I could get? Well, let's see. I'm going to make a sample space using a tree diagram. I think I'm actually going to represent my sample space a couple different ways. I'll do my tree diagram on the left. Let's see. So for my dice, I could get the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. So let me kind of show that. These are all the possibilities of rolling the dice, right? And they're each equally likely, 1 out of 6. And then after that, I'm going to flip a coin. And so I could get heads or tails with the 1. I could get heads or tails with the 2, heads or tails with the 3, heads or tails with a 4, heads or tails with a 5, and heads or tails with a 6. Now let me draw my little lines in there. So let's see how many different outcomes there are. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there are 12 different results that I could get if I roll a dice and then flip a coin. Not everybody likes tree diagrams. Some people prefer to make a list. So my list might be like this. I could get a 1 and then a head. I could get a 1 and then a tail. I could get a 2 and a head or a 2 and a tail, a 3 and a head, a 3 and a tail, a 4 and a head, a 4 and a tail, 5 head, 5 tails, 6 heads, or 6 tails. So there, I could also list out all of my possibilities. I would encourage you to use whichever illustration makes the most sense to you when you are representing a sample space. But you do need to be familiar with both types because you're going to run into both kinds of illustrations in life. Let's look at another sample space really quickly. So here's another example. This time I have 2 spinners that I'm going to spin, and I want to see how many outcomes could I possibly have here. First, I'm going to spin the spinners with the spinner with the different colors, and then I'm going to spin the spinner with the different numbers. Why don't you pause the video and see if you could diagram this sample space. All right, you've hit play, so you must be ready to talk about our sample space. Let's see. I'm going to start with the tree diagram first. So I could have yellow, blue, red, or green. And then next, yellow, after that, I could get a 1, a 2, or a 3. For blue, I could get a 1, a 2, or a 3. For red, I could get a 1, a 2, or a 3. And for green, I could get a 1, a 2, or a 3. So my tree diagram would look something like this, and that shows all the different possibilities. So how many outcomes are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So once again, I have 12 possible outcomes. What if I wanted to do a list? That would be just fine. So you could also list out all the different possibilities, whichever way makes more sense to you. Understanding sample keys is key to being able to calculate probabilities well, because if you can understand the sample space, then you know the total number of possible outcomes. You know the denominator of your probability.